very good morning. You're watching Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Here are this morning's headlines. Union Cabinet approves new bill to punish people holding back black money abroad. A bill to come up in the Lok Sabha. Ahead of the address by the US Federal Reserve Chairperson, IMF chief cautions emerging economies about impact of a possible US rate hike. Israeli election results expected today. Netanyahu's Likud party celebrates as exit polls predict a close finish for leading contenders. And in the Cricket World Cup, it's time for the knockout matches. Sri Lanka take on South Africa in a short while from now in the first quarter-final. Well, a meeting of the Cabinet Committee on Parliamentary Affairs is expected to decide tomorrow whether or not to extend the first half of the budget session for a few more days or prorogue it on the 20th of March. The government is considering extending the budget session for a few more days in the first half, mainly to facilitate passage of bills that replace the ordinances on land acquisition, mines and minerals and coal. All three bills have been passed by the Lok Sabha. The bills on mines and minerals and coal were referred to select committees of the Rajya Sabha, which are slated to be presented today. Meanwhile, the Union Cabinet approved a new bill to give more powers to the tax department in the tracking of black money stashed abroad. It will also provide for strict penalties for such offences. In his budget speech, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley had announced that a new law was in the offing for the offence. Offences under the Undisclosed Foreign Income and Assets Imposition of New Tax Bill 2015 will be non-compoundable. Offenders can't approach the Settlement Commission and will pay a penalty of 300% of taxes on concealed income and assets. The bill will also make non-filing of income tax returns or concealing foreign assets liable for prosecution with punishment of rigorous imprisonment of up to 7 years. Evasion in relation to foreign assets will attract 10 years of rigorous imprisonment. The money bill is likely to be introduced to the Lok Sabha after obtaining the President's assent. Meanwhile, in another cabinet decision, the government approved the release of 33,000 crore rupees in tranches to states and union territories. This is to compensate them for revenue loss on account of phasing out of central sales tax for 3 financial years up to 2012-13. In the first phase, 10,800 crore rupees is payable for 2010-11. The union budget provides for CST compensation in the revised estimates of 2014-15. CST is being phased out as part of the rollout of the proposed goods and services tax regime. It was reduced to 2% from the earlier 4%. The centre collects and distributes it among states. Well, the opposition's biggest show of protest so far against the government's Land Acquisition Amendment Bill. Over 100 MPs of 14 opposition parties marched from Parliament to Rashtrapati Bhavan defying police orders. This is among a series of demonstrations against the bill over the last few days. Here's more.
Members of Parliament of 14 parties on a protest march led by Congress President Sonia Gandhi. Quite a list it was. Former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, former Prime Minister and JDS Chief H.D. Deve Gowda, CPIM Sitaram Yechuri, CPI's D. Rajya, Trinamool Congress leader Dinesh Trivedi and more. Barricades were set up and water cannons were also placed on the route leading from Parliament to the President's house. Delhi police had refused permission. MP said they would have to be arrested to be stopped.
This ordinance which was issued, that itself was an unacceptable step, because knowing that the vast majority in Rajya Sabha and also a sizable section in Lok Sabha is against this, government issuing an ordinance on this itself was undemocratic. Now that the Parliament is in session, so we are going to the President of India.
भूमि अधिग्रहण विधेयक पर आर पार की लड़ाई है, हम इस पर कोई समझौता नहीं करेंगे। सरकार को विपक्षी दल के नेताओं और किसान संगठनों से बातचीत करके इसमें व्यापक संशोधन करने चाहिए।
That 200-meter walk from Parliament House to Rashtrapati Bhavan sent out a powerful message, the most powerful symbol yet of an opposition fiercely united against the government's Land Acquisition Amendment Bill. 26 MPs went inside to hand over a joint memorandum to President Pranab Mukherjee, identifying their points of disagreement with the government on the bill.
Congress party has adopted obstructionism both as a strategy and now almost an ideology. The amendment to the land bill is entirely in favor of rural India. It seeks to create rural infrastructure. It seeks to provide housing for poor and affordable housing. It seeks to create better infrastructure for this country. And there is no reason why any political party with any commitment to development must oppose this bill.
The memorandum protests removal of several key clauses like farmer consent and social impact assessment in the new bill that existed in the UPA's legislation and what it calls favouring of corporates against the farmer. The government hit back, saying the protest march was little more than negative politics of the Congress to keep India backward. Once again, it rejected the anti-farmer tag attached to the new bill. There's been a marked spurt in anti-land bill protests by opposition parties over the last few days. Massive Congress protests on the streets of the capital on Monday, besides demonstrations by farmers in the states, a mounting political pitch against taking the bill forward. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Well, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley has said that the country would grow at the rate of 8% by next year. He said this in his reply to the debate on the Union Budget on Tuesday. Jaitley refuted charges of benefiting corporates, saying that his priority was to provide social security, generate employment and develop the country's infrastructure. Participating in the debate, members from other political parties said that the government must focus on helping the poor farmers and the backward classes.
You need to increase manufacturing. Investment will lead to jobs. Investment must also lead to profitability. It's only then that you will get taxes. It's that money which will create jobs. It is that money which will help us to create infrastructure. It is that money which will help us to plow into the social sector.
But in the real India is living in villages.
Yes.
Therefore, I request the government to kindly enhance allocation for rural development, agriculture, education and social sector.
It talks about federalism and acts to centralize. It speaks of humility and behaves arrogantly. Our commitment to farmers runs deep, the finance minister claimed in his budget speech. It runs so deep that the government has railroaded the land acquisition bill through the Lok Sabha.
A state like Orissa, which is paying so much money to the railways, to the central government, and the rest of the eastern part of India, which has suffered because of the freight rationalization thing with which we were burdened for too long, we deserve to be getting a better deal.
Meanwhile, Lok Sabha on Tuesday debated the Andhra Pradesh Reorganization Bill of 2015 after being initiated by the Congress President Sonia Gandhi. She accused the government of ignoring the interests of the state, but the government assured the House that all the promises made by the previous UPA government would be fulfilled.
When Congress President Sonia Gandhi rose to begin the debate on the Andhra Pradesh Reorganization Bill 2015, a silent House greeted her. Not only the opposition benches, but even the treasury benches listened to her speech without interrupting even once. Sonia Gandhi said that in the bill, the UPA government had provided for Andhra Pradesh's financial needs to be fulfilled, besides giving a special rail project to the state. The Congress president said the current government was not giving the state what was rightfully theirs.
The state of Andhra Pradesh is presently facing a huge revenue deficit, which is adversely impacting it and its people. To make matter worse, the recommendation of the 14th Finance Commission have not done full justice to the needs of the state.
Sonia Gandhi also said that she'd written twice to the Prime Minister highlighting the concerns of the state. She also claimed that even the Financial Commission was not giving the state its due.
The Polavaram project is crucial for the future of Andhra Pradesh. It must be implemented with urgency and with complete regard to environmental sustainability and with full sensitivity to the resettlement and rehabilitation of all the affected families.
Replying to the debate, Parliamentary Affairs Minister M. Venkaiah Naidu promised that the government would not be biased against Andhra Pradesh. He said the government had even brought an ordinance, something it was highly criticized for.
With regard to Poravaram project, ma'am, you have reminded, I'm happy. I'm also happy. Prime Minister also is there in the house. Government is arrived at the situation. On Poravaram also, I don't want to divulge the personal discussion we had. The Prime Minister sent a minister to me. We discussed, I expressed my difficulties with regard to that problem, with regard to implementation of that problem, and it was, at the end of it, it was agreed upon that there will be provisions in the bill.
The government also assured the House that all the provisions made by the previous government will be fulfilled. The debate on the AP Reorganization Bill was one of those rare occasions when the debate was more than just political one-upmanship. Shyam Sundar's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, it's time for a short break now, but on the other side, news from the upper house of parliament, discussion on rail budget and to Swami's controversial comment on Moss, I beg your pardon, that and much more coming up. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. Hello and a very warm welcome to a brand new edition of To The Point, the anti-hijacking bill now. Where does it stand?
It made certain stringent laws. There will be any question from any side
about what you're doing as far as the tourism sector is concerned.
After all, it gives us a lot of revenue. It's almost about 6.88% of the,
almost 7% of the GDP. Yes.
Of the GDP.
Culture Ministry now. What are your top priorities?
3 to 5 to 7 minutes, depending on time. Introduction about that. This is what you should learn from the European tourist places.
Watch To The Point with Minister of Tourism and Culture, Dr. Mahesh Sharma, only on Rajya Sabha television. Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. Well, the government has said joint ventures would be initiated with state governments for faster execution of railways projects. Both the railways and the states would hold equity. Replying to the debate on the rail budget in the Rajya Sabha, Railways Minister Suresh Prabhu allayed apprehensions about workers being retrenched as the public transporter seeks increased private participation.
Replying to the debate on the rail budget in the Rajya Sabha, Railway Minister Suresh Prabhu outlined the need for more funds for the railways, saying a massive 8.5 lakh crore rupees would be pumped in over the next 5 years to make it a viable organization.
We have not been able to put as much money into railways as we should have been. And all these symptoms that I told you are a result of less investment and many others, but less investment to begin with. And if you really look at it, some of them have talked about it, about the distorted ratio between rail traffic and road traffic. This has obviously happened because if you invest more into roads and less into railways, obviously the road will be the beneficiary.
Prabhu said decisions in the tendering process have been delegated to a general manager as he stressed on decentralization of powers in the railways. He also announced setting up of a new high-level body seeking to allay apprehensions of retrenchment.
I had announced that we'll appoint a Kayakalp Council in my budget speech. I am happy to say that we'll appoint this Kayakalp Council in the next few days itself, which will have, the head will be announced soon, but we'll have both the federations, union that we have the two federations, very strong federation, both the federation representatives will be the members of the Kayakalp Council.
Members also raised several issues related to the railways. Leader of the opposition in the House, Ghulam Nabi Azad, demanded timely execution of the Banihal to Udhampur railway track.
जम्मू कश्मीर के और विशेष रूप से कश्मीर घाटी के लोगों को देश के दूसरे हिस्सों के साथ, देश के दूसरे विभागों के साथ इंटीग्रेट करना, उनको जोड़ना, तो एक तो नेशनल इंटीग्रेशन का यहाँ के हमारे देश के सभी लोग कहीं भी दक्षिण में या और किसी प्रांत से बैठेंगे और सुबह कश्मीर वादी में पहुंचेंगे। तो नेशनल इंटीग्रेशन मेरे ख्याल में सबसे बहुत जरूरी है और नेशनल इंटीग्रेशन के लिए कोई भी पैसा लगे वो बहुत कम।
In his reply, the Rail Minister also sought to take states on board, declaring that they would be partners in progress of the railways by executing several projects in their respective areas.
Sir, the first time we have decided that all the major states of India, barring the Northeast, barring the Himachal, barring the Uttarakhand, barring Delhi, because they are the states, we have the money, we have decided to make a special company joint venture with each of them. The projects can be implemented through a company throughout the state.
The Rail Minister also informed the House that plans were afoot to rope in PSUs, including Coal India and those in the oil and gas sector, to boost railway infrastructure. Prabhu also said railways have joined hands with SBI CAP to give a fillip to its finances and set up an advisory board with members like noted bankers KV Kamath and Arundhati Bhattacharya. Vishal Dahiya's report for Rajya Sabha Television.
Well, BJP leader Subramanian Swamy's controversial comment on mosques triggered an uproar in the Rajya Sabha on Tuesday. As the Congress sought to corner the ruling party over the issue, the government claimed that the party did not have any issues. The House was briefly adjourned following protests by members of the Congress over Swamy's remarks. Here's more.
During 0 hour, Congress leader Pramod Tiwari charged BJP leader Subramanian Swamy of sabotaging the secular fabric of India by his provocative remarks on mosques.
सर सोशल जो हमारा कैरेक्टर है डेमोक्रेसी में उसमें सेकुलरिज्म उसका सबसे जान है उसकी।
Soon other Congress leaders joined Pramod Tiwari in denouncing Swamy's remark and moved to the aisles shouting slogans against the BJP. Union Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad refuted the Congress's claims and stressed that the party had no option but to rake up non-issues. As the sloganeering continued, the chair adjourned the House for 10 minutes.
Adjourn for 10 minutes.
According to media reports, BJP leader Subramanian Swamy had at a function in Guwahati said that a mosque is not a religious place and could be demolished anytime. He cited the examples of mosques being demolished for the construction of roads in Saudi Arabia. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha Television.
Moving on now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday was honoured as the Indian of the Year 2014 by the CNN-IBN Media Group in New Delhi. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley was awarded in the politics category. Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari, who presented the award, said that the winners have played a significant role in imparting knowledge and motivating the country. It was the 9th edition of the annual award ceremony.
It is said that excellence is its own reward. Achieving it is the fulfillment of an individual's or a group's innermost moral urge. By the same token, recognition is the society's appreciation of it. Together, they fulfill a social necessity and impart motivation.
Let's bring you up to date with the other national news in our segment Nationwide. Even as a whistleblower claimed that IAS officer DK Ravi, who was found dead in Bengaluru, was planning raids on some big developers, state government officials said family problems could have been behind his suicide. The centre has called the death a serious matter but refused to intervene in the case. Strong protests were witnessed yesterday over the incident in Karnataka. The railway platform ticket will be costlier by 5 rupees from the 1st of April. A ticket will now cost 10 rupees. Divisional railway managers were empowered to increase the rate of platform ticket beyond 10 rupees to regulate the rush at platforms during specific events like fairs and rallies. The 23-day-long budget session of the Mufti Saeed government in Jammu and Kashmir Assembly will start today. The session will start with the governor's address to legislature and the house sittings would continue till the 9th of April. The budget will be presented on the 22nd of March and the general discussion on it will be held on the 23rd and 24th of March. The West Bengal police detained 10 people for the rape of an elderly nun at a convent in Nadia district. The centre has asked the state government to send a detailed report on the action taken to punish the culprits. None of the 4 people seen in the CCTV at the convent have been arrested so far. Swine flu claimed 5 more lives in Gujarat, taking this year's toll to 397 in the state. Health Minister JP Nadda told the Rajya Sabha that the virus would continue to circulate as a seasonal phenomenon, though no mutation was seen to have taken place. A total of 27,886 swine flu cases have been reported from different parts of the country this year. Well, let's now take a look at the news and events lined up for today in our segment The Day Ahead. District Court lawyers in Delhi will continue their strike for the second day today. The lawyers are agitating against a delay in tabling in Parliament the amended bill regarding the enhancement of pecuniary jurisdiction of trial courts. The strike disrupted the proceedings in all the 6 district courts in Delhi. The Delhi High Court will today hear a petition on the lifting of the ban on the telecast of the BBC documentary interviewing one of the convicts in the 16 December gang rape case. The PIL said that the ban violated fundamental rights under Article 19 of the Constitution. Pakistan High Commissioner Abdul Basit will meet West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee in Kolkata. The two will hold talks to discuss ways to better relations between West Bengal and the 4 provinces in Pakistan. Moving on to some international news now, investors across the globe are anxiously waiting for the announcement at the close of the 2-day US Federal Reserve meet. Fed Chief Janet Yellen could hint on how patient the central bank will be before tightening its monetary policy. She will make an address on Wednesday afternoon in the United States. Although no immediate action is expected, the Fed could firm its stance on the possibility of a rate hike in June. The Dow and Standard & Poor's 500 fell on Tuesday as commodity-related shares declined and nervousness increased ahead of the statement. While higher rates are a sign of strength in the US economy, some investors question whether the economy is strong enough to handle increased borrowing costs. Emerging markets must prepare for the impact of a rise in US interest rates. The word of caution came from International Monetary Fund Managing Director Christine Lagarde, who said the US rate hike could both surprise global economy in both its timing as well as pace.
IMF Chief Christine Lagarde warned emerging economies of a repeat of what she called the taper tantrum of 2013. She was referring to a global market sell-off following a mere mention that the US Federal Reserve could cut its bond purchase program.
As economic conditions improve in at least some advanced economies, portfolio rebalancing out of the emerging market economies can be expected, and some volatility cannot be ruled out. So, emerging markets need to prepare for that volatility risk and this uncertainty.
In 2013, markets had turned volatile over expectations from remarks emanating from the US Fed Reserve. Lagarde said advanced economies could help cut down this risk by communicating policy intentions clearly. But she added that emerging markets could shield themselves by tackling economic vulnerabilities.
In particular, those countries with higher GDP growth, stronger external current account positions, lower inflation, and more liquid financial markets, all of that helped dampen market volatility. In addition, more resilient financial sectors contain the effect of such volatility. And the reforms that have been initiated here in India are going in the right direction, are very timely, but will also need to be pursued with utmost speed.
She added that central banks should be ready to act with both liquidity support and targeted foreign exchange interventions. The IMF chief also praised RBI Governor Raghuram Rajan, stating that the IMF made a mistake by not listening to his prediction of 2018 credit crisis. Rajan was the chief economist and research director at the IMF during 2003 to 2006. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, early results in the Israel elections show the ruling Likud party still has hope of retaining power. The numbers are tied around 27 seats for both parties. Prime Minister Netanyahu and party supporters celebrated over what is seen as a better than expected result for the party.
As the counting of votes of Israel's parliamentary elections progress, the exit polls put both leading parties, Likud party and the opposition Zionist Union, on equal footing. Early estimates show both sides have 27 seats each in a 120-seat parliament. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu described the vote as a great victory for his party, which is credited with a better result than expected.
At the beginning of this race, I was expected that we can crash or we can win, and we won bigly.
However, the centre-left Zionist Union dismissed their opposition celebrations as premature. Leader of Zionist Union told his supporters that he was confident of forming the next government.
First of all, the results are amazing. 3 months ago we had 10 seats in one of the polls. Now we got 27 seats. It's an amazing, the public decided to trust us with 27 seats.
Whichever party wins, it will need support from other parties to form a governing coalition. Zionist Union said a negotiation team would attempt to form a coalition. No party has ever won an outright majority under Israel's proportional representation voting system. 61 seats are needed in order to secure a majority. The results could tip either side. Final results are expected to come in later today. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, for more news from across the world, here's our World Wrap. French police raided the Paris offices of the Uber taxi application company as part of its investigation into its controversial ride-sharing service. The headquarters were targeted at the request of the Paris prosecutor's office. The company called the raid an attempt at intimidation. With over 80% homes and buildings partially or completely destroyed by Cyclone Pam, rescue teams delivered food and water to survivors living on Vanuatu's outer islands. Teams of aid workers and government officials are also planning to send a boat packed with supplies to the island. Syria's military shot down a US drone over the coastal province of Latakia, a stronghold of President Bashar al-Assad. The US military lost contact with an unarmed Predator drone over northwest Syria. The US said that it is the first time that Syrian forces attacked a US aircraft since the Islamic State began raids against the jihadists in September. 3 judges were sacked for allegedly viewing pornography at their office using official judiciary computers. They included a district judge, immigration judge and a deputy district judge. None of them were linked in any way. A 4th judge resigned after being found viewing inappropriate material through his judicial IT account. Lawyer Samiullah Afridi was shot dead in Peshawar. Samiullah used to represent Pakistani doctor Shakil Afridi, who helped the CIA in hunting down Osama bin Laden. He had recently returned from abroad after leaving Pakistan for his safety. On to some sports news now. South Africa have another chance to shed their reputation as chokers when they take on Sri Lanka in the first ICC Cricket World Cup quarter-final today. The Proteas boast of the #1 ranked batsman in world cricket in skipper AB de Villiers, while elegant Sri Lanka left-hander Kumar Sangakkara's 4 successive centuries make him the in-form batsman of the tournament. Neither side has had the bowling performances they had hoped for so far, but both are expecting key interventions from their top pacemen in the knockout stages, Dale Steyn for South Africa and Lasith Malinga for Sri Lanka. Both teams showed good form in the pool stages but lost 2 of their 6 games. Their record against each other in one-day internationals is balanced, with Sri Lanka just ahead on 29 wins as opposed to 28 for South Africa. For all the other sports news, here's our sports beat. India held a dominant Nepal to a goalless draw to advance to the second round of the 2018 FIFA World Cup football qualifiers. India progressed with a 2-0 aggregate score after winning the first leg in Guwahati. Arsenal crashed out of the Champions League last stage for the fifth straight season despite beating Monaco in the second leg of their last 16 tie. Arsenal won the away match 2-0 but were eliminated on the away goal rule after the aggregate score ended 3-3. World number 1 Novak Djokovic advanced to the fourth round of the Indian Wells after beating Spaniard Albert Ramos Vinolas 7-5, 6-3. The top seed will next face big serving American John Isner. In the other match, Spanish 8th seeded David Ferrer was ousted by Australian Bernard Tomic. Ferrer lost the match 5-7, 4-6. That's it in this edition of the Breakfast News. Have a nice day.